What if the struggles you face today, your anxieties, relationship challenges, or fears of success aren't entirely yours? What if they were inherited? Welcome back to Systemic Conversations. I'm Carole, here with my co-host Orianne. Today we're exploring emotional debt, the invisible price we pay for belonging to a family system.
Yeah, many of us unconsciously carry burdens from previous generation, whether it's unprocessed grief, limiting beliefs, or self-sabotaging patterns. And you know what? This hidden emotional debt influences our relationships, career choices, health, and even financial well-being.
But here's the key. Emotional debt is not a life sentence. We can uncover these patterns and release them without betraying those we love. So today we'll explore how these invisible loyalties form, how they affect our daily lives, and most importantly, how to break free.
Carol, loyalty is the key force in family constellation. Um, how does it relate to emotional debt?
Okay, let me explain. Loyalty is essential for survival. It ensures we remain connected to our roots, our history, and our ancestors and our family. In its healthiest form, it creates security, but when unconscious, it becomes a prison, binding us to the struggles of those who came before us.
So, Carol, you mean that we unconsciously obey to the invisible laws of our family system, even when they limit us?
Yes, unfortunately, that's true. And this is where emotional debt comes in. Emotional debt is the price we pay for belonging. It's an unconscious contract. So don't worry if you think, it's unconscious. And it's a contract where we take on suffering, self-sabotage, or limitations to stay connected to a family system.
Hey, wow. I say hello to our listeners and thank you for being here. So, Carol, can you give an example about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's say a child raised by a single mother who struggled might feel guilty about surpassing her financially. Unconsciously, they might block their own success because thriving will feel like a betrayal to his own mother.
Wow. And also, I can add to that that just by surpassing a mother or his mother, it's like abandoning. And it's too hard to do that. So the person will stop himself and block the success to stay close to his mom. So what you shared but makes so much sense, and this is why people stay in cycles of struggle even when they have opportunities to break free.
Yeah, and also it's not just financial. It can affect relationships, health, and career choices. So let's show you how emotional debt works. It can whisper in your ears, you can't be happier than your mother. You can't have an easier life than your grandfather who suffered during the war. You must struggle too. So I'll give you even more real examples. Yeah, let's bring to life more some real examples.
Yeah, I have a case, a really impressive case. I remember it was a woman whose mother died giving birth to her, and she felt responsible for her mother's death. Every time when happiness or success knocked on her door, she shut it down. It was like she was thinking or feeling, if my mother died for me, do I really deserve to live fully? And this hidden guilt shaped every decision she made.
Yeah, so I've seen similar patterns with surviving twins. So, for instance, when a twin dies in the womb or at birth, the surviving sibling often feels indebted to the lost one. So, some might live their life completely depressed, unable to allow themselves joy or success because they're carrying the grief of the missing twin. Like, he died, why should I be happy? You know, I can't be happy because he died.
Yeah, and it's quite common to have this situation because one child on four had a lost twin, and it impacts a lot life because it's like a trauma. When you lose the most dearest one, and you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye, you are looking everywhere for this missing one, and you feel empty. You feel that something is really missing in your life. So, Carole, can you tell us more about inherited struggles? Because it's not only about losing somebody in our lives, but sometimes it can come from our ancestors.
Yeah, so I've got another example for you. For example, this man whose granddad had lost everything in war. He was raised hearing stories. So all his life, he heard stories of survival and scarcity. So even though he had a great career, he never allowed himself to feel financially secure. So he was always anxious, as if having stability would be disloyal to his family's suffering.
Wow, that's amazing. So the family history, after maybe two generations, can still have an impact on the finances. And if I'm right, this can also impact relationships, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So let's take love for as an example. So
That's important.
let's take an example of a woman who grew up seeing a mother in toxic relationships. She might unconsciously choose the same kind of partners. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's unconscious, okay? Because if her mother suffered, who is she to have it easy? Yeah. So let's talk about success. Many people unconsciously limit themselves to avoid outshining a struggling parent or sibling. They believe if I succeed, I abandon them.
So I wonder, what can people do if they recognize themselves in these patterns?
Okay, so I'll give you a brief structure of what can happen to release all that. So first step is awareness. Yeah. So to be more aware, you have to ask yourself, what beliefs do I hold about love, success, or happiness that feel inherited? Am I carrying struggles that don't belong to me? So, Orianne, what do you think of this?
Yeah, well, I think it's really powerful, Carole. And I can imagine how liberating this is for people who have carried invisible burdens for years.
Yeah, so sorry. So many people think that letting go of these patterns is like betraying their family. So they're not doing this work, right? But it's actually, we can flip it round, and it's actually honoring them in a new way. So it's like thanking them for what they've gone through, okay, by not repeating the pattern. So it's like changing it around. I've got an exercise for people to do. So if any of the listeners are now with us, or if you're listening to the replay, I would like to invite you to close your eyes for a moment or lower your gaze. Think of a struggle in your life, maybe around love, success, or self-worth. Now ask yourself, does this truly belong to me? Or am I carrying it for someone else? If you feel like it's inherited, imagine handing it back with love. So you imagine giving back this burden with love. Feel the weight lifting, and you're free to create your own life.
Wow. So, Carole, do you mean that we can free ourselves just by doing this kind of exercise? Is it enough?
Well, okay, so there's other thing you can do, because on your own it could be quite difficult to do this whole exercise, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's some practical steps to break free. So first, recognize the emotional debt. You become aware of patterns that aren't yours. You release the guilt. You don't need to suffer to prove love. For that, you use rituals. You can write a letter to your ancestors, thanking them for stating your intention to live differently. Then you can experience family constellation work. So come to a family constellation workshop, or have an individual session with a family constellation facilitator. Seeing your family system from the outside can shift everything.
Yeah, this is really powerful. And yes, I know maybe you were thinking, oh, what she's saying, Orianne, but it has been more than 20 years I'm facilitating family constellation work, and I've seen miracles, a big shift with people. And we are organizing with Carole in Cambridge here in few weeks. So it was really powerful, this few practical steps you offered, Carole. And I want to say the emotional depth is one of the most invisible yet powerful forces shaping our lives. It's hidden, but it works on us. It's really really powerful. And when we bring these hidden loyalties to light, and this is very simple, just to acknowledge what it is about those loyalties, it's incredible, but we can reclaim our freedom.
Yeah, and I've experienced it myself. Like, I was carrying the grief of my grandmother. So I thanked her, and I realized this grief was not just mine, but it was my grandmother's. And we did this together at the Constellation. So it was really powerful. And I honored my grandmother, and I still love my grandmother. So it's really freeing. So the most beautiful part of this work is when we heal not just for ourselves, but for generations before and after us. So like our next generation don't have to carry this burden.
Yes, it's like cutting the cycle. We talked at the beginning of this podcast. So we are trapped into cycles, and we can break the cycle. So we are not giving to our next generation what we receive from our parents or ancestors. So we would like to invite you to reflect on this question. What emotional debt are you carrying? And do they truly belong to you?
Yeah, and they can always leave comments in the box afterwards. If this conversation resonated with you, as Orianne mentioned, we are still only 2 spots left for the Constellation workshop we are holding in Cambridge on the 1st of March and the 2nd of March. So we will give you details on how to register in the video below. And we'd like you to share your thoughts with us.
Yeah, please. And before we go, a quick preview of our next episode. Next time on Systemic Conversation, we will explore imaginary crimes and why we punish ourselves. It's the next step after this podcast. We thought that it wouldn't be enough, and we wanted to explore a little bit more.
Yeah, and Orianne, just to check, is there any questions in the chat, or is there anyone present?
No, we have 2 followers at this time.
Okay.
And thank you to you all to be here.
So just a little teaser for next week's, next episode, not next week, it's 2 weeks' time. So have you ever felt like you were carrying guilt for something you didn't actually do? Many of us unconsciously punish ourselves for invisible crimes. Yes, I love this word, crimes. Family secrets, untold betrayals, or unresolved past events.
And we will uncover why we take on guilt that doesn't belong to us, how it impacts our choices, and most importantly, how to release it.
You won't want to miss that one. Be sure to subscribe and tune in this next time for another deep dive into the hidden forces shaping our lives.
Thank you for joining us on Systemic Conversation. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden dynamics in your life.
See you soon.
See you soon. Good evening.